sharing a reading experience. I took down notes from Understanding Arabs by Margaret K. Nadell, and I'm sharing them with you now. I hope you listen and receive something worthwhile from this. Remember, these are just my notes, not necessarily a report of what the book is about, and it might not even be the words or thoughts of the author. Rather, these notes are what I gleaned or what I thought about while I was reading. These notes are what caught my interest because the ideas expanded my knowledge or made me think, reflect, or ponder in some way. This video might inspire you to read what I did. It's my hope that you'll search for the best books and gain information and ideas to help you to become a better person. The more you read, the better you'll think. And the better you think, the more you'll be able to face life's challenges successfully. Arabs see themselves as being victimized and exploited by the West. The overall approval rating of the United States ranges from 2% in Egypt up to 20% in Lebanon. 92% of all of our Iraqis saw the United States as occupiers, and only 2% saw them as liberators. Between 1980 and 2001, the United States engaged in 15 military operations in the Middle East, and all of them were directed against Muslims. The word Islam comes from the word submission, and the word Muslim means one who submits. There are 1.5 billion Muslims in the world. Arab nationalism has broad appeal despite shifting political alliances. 85% are Sunni or Orthodox, and 15% are Shiite. Now, 25% of Americans hold a negative stereotype of Muslims, and there are 3 million Arabs in the United States. Half are Christian. 42% have college degrees compared to only 24% of the United States population as a whole. They are more affluent, better educated, and more likely to be married and have children than the average United States citizen. Islam is the second most common religion in Europe, and over 20 million active Muslims are there. In Europe, the Muslim birth rate is 3 times higher than the rest of the population, making for an ever larger percentage. Friends and strangers. The Arab concept of friendship is quite different than that of the West. The duty of the friend is to give help and to do favors to the best of their ability. Westerners often feel set up to do favors, and Arabs conclude that no Westerner can be a true friend. Responses must never be a direct no, and you must always try to help. If you can't, you express your regrets and offer to do something else in the future. An oral promise has its own value. If you fail to carry out a request, your Arab friend will probably accept your regrets graciously without asking why. Etiquette always demands that there be a positive response. The result is a separate matter. Usually, your response should be, Inshallah, or if God wills. You must never take a yes literally. You are asked for a favor, usually with the phrase, do this for my sake. To Arabs, information about the family and social connections is more important than information about the person. There's no concept of privacy among Arabs. In translation, the Arabic word that comes closest to privacy means loneliness. By far the most popular form of entertainment in the Arab world is conversation. If you plead for privacy, people will wonder if they've offended you, or maybe you don't like them, or maybe you're sick. If you're not willing to increase the frequency or intensity of your personal contacts, you may hurt feelings and damage relationships. Arab friends are generous with their time and efforts to help you. They are willing to inconvenience themselves for you, and they're concerned about your welfare. Arabs do not fit easily into impersonal roles such as business colleague. All acquaintances are potential friends. In the Arab world, you're either a friend or a stranger. There's no in betweens. Personal contacts lead to more efficiency than following rules and regulations. This is proven over and over again. One quick phone call to the right person cuts through lengthy procedures and seemingly insurmountable objects. Forthright criticism is almost always taken as personal and destructive. It is an accepted practice to do things as to crowd into lines, push, drive aggressively, and overcharge tourists. Emotions and logic. While objectivity is given considerable emphasis in the Western culture, the opposite is true in Arab culture. But whatever you encounter, there's always reasons. No behavior is random. Westerners are taught that objectivity, the examinations of facts in a logical way without the intrusion of emotional bias, is the mature and constructive approach to human affairs. In the West, personal feelings and emotions that influence one's view of events, it represents immaturity. Arabs constantly reserve the right to look at the world in a subjective way. The belief that people are powerless to control events is part of the Arab culture. For example, Arab has an attitude of fatalism, which is based on the belief that Allah has direct and ultimate control over all that happens. Self confidence about controlling events is considered a sign of arrogance tinged with blasphemy. Arabs rarely admit errors openly, especially if it's going to cause them to lose faith. To Arabs, honor is more important than the facts. Never suggest that the other person is lying. Any regulation can be modified or avoided by someone who is persuasive to personal need. Friendship or emphasis on the effect the action will have on others is effective as well. Showing emotion connotes deep and sincere concern for the substance of the discussion. The social structure. Arabs accept the social class into which they're born, and there's relatively little effort on the part of the individuals to raise from one class to another. The person's origins will be remembered. A family of a lower class could not really expect social acceptance in the upper class for at least 3 generations. No upper class ever engages in manual labor in front of others. Washing your car is a big no no. And never ask a person to do anything that might threaten their dignity. The only time manual labor is accepted is if it's a hobby. But repairing cars is out. Arabs do not socialize with people from other classes. Do not throw a party with people from different social classes. Family. Names reflect the family. Ben means son of, and Bint means daughter of. A woman does not change her name after marriage since she does not take her husband's genealogy. Misbehavior by a woman is believed to do more damage to family honor than misbehavior by men. The public display of affection between men and women is strictly forbidden by the Arab social code, including the holding of hands. Strong families create strong communities and underpin social order. An employer must be understanding if an employee is late or absent because of family obligations. It is unreasonable to expect an Arab employee to give priority to the demands of the job if they conflict with family duties. There's no real basis for a close relationship except ties of kinship. An Arab man is recognized as the head of his immediate family, and his role and influence are overt. His wife has a clearly defined sphere that exists largely behind the scenes. Decisions regarding healthcare are made by the family group and are not the responsibility of the individual. Arabs prefer family arranged marriages, and couples still seek family approval of the person they have chosen. Arabs feel marriage is too big of a decision, so it's left to the family discretion rather than on the basis of emotion or ideas of romance. The preferred pattern of marriage is to marry a first or second cousin. Marriage to a cousin ensures the money in the form of a dowry or inheritance stays within the family. Arab couples do not enter marriage with idealistic or exaggerated romantic expectations. Language. Arabic is the sixth most widely spoken language in the world. It is extremely difficult to master with an unusually large vocabulary and has a complex structure. This is viewed as a sign of superiority. Even people who have studied the language for 6 years are considered illiterate. Because of its structure, it lends itself to rhythm and rhyme. Arabs talk a lot. They repeat themselves, shout when excited, and make extensive use of gestures. They punctuate their conversation with oaths such as, I swear by God, to emphasize what they say, and they exaggerate for effect. Arabs have a great tolerance for noise and interference during discussions. Often, several people speak at once, each trying to outshout the other. Vulgar language and the use of curses and obscenity is very offensive to Arabs. It's feared that the curses may bring misfortune just by being uttered. Omitting benedictions are seen as equally rude. Arabs do not discuss illness, disasters, or death. For example, instead of saying a person is sick, they will say, he's a little tired. Anything written in Arabic should be burnt when it is no longer needed. Arabs use proverbs far more than Westerners do, and they have hundreds, such as one hand does not clap, the eye cannot raise above the eyebrow. The dog may bark, but the caravan moves on. And the monkey in the eyes of his mother is a gazelle, just to name a few. When you speak Arabic, you will find that your use of even the simplest phrase, no matter how poorly pronounced, will produce an immediate smile and a comment of appreciation. I wish you the best in your happy readings. Thank you for joining me. Until next line, take luck.